Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of San Antonio by Nights. The last we left off, we were introduced to a new kindred, fairly new kindred actually, by the name of Benji Cortez. He, uh, Urien and Tom, who sadly cannot be with us tonight, were out and about just running some errands, checking out the domain, maybe grabbing a bite, when they stumbled across this new kindred at a local bus station. This kindred led them to his Theo's bar called La Medianoche, where some conversation was exchanged, some information, some greetings. And we start tonight anew. It's the first night that Benji has been invited to the Coterie Haven for the host, and Urien kind of getting him familiar with how things go on at that house. And so, with it being a new night and these two kindred getting to know each other, let's find out what Benji thinks of all of this. Benji, what is going on with you? What is your opinion of how things have gone as far as introductions with Urien has gone so far?
Well, originally, I guess Isabella's plan was to have me go and learn more about some cult nonsense. I found a cultist, sure enough. Some Urien guy, small fry. He seems to know a little bit more than I took for granted.
He is kind of
So,
shrimpy, isn't he?
yeah. I also really don't like how he talks sometimes, but
Is,
whatever.
is it his accent?
Nah, it's that big business vibe.
Mm,
Talking to everyone like he knows them or some shit. But I guess I'll get over it as long as he's not stepping on my toes. Tom, the doc.
mm.
He's fun. More fun to mess with than anything.
Certainly messed with him a little bit at the bus station. How was that?
He ran from me. What do you mean, how was that? There wasn't anything to that. In any case, I think I think what I want to do tonight, more than anything, is they say this is their domain, right? So maybe I should get a tour, especially since we're gonna be collaborating.
Mm, collaborating. It's an interesting way to put it.
For now, yeah.
Urien, you have a new kindred spending the night at your coterie home. Or spending the day, rather. Seems like so many new kindred are getting dumped on your doorstep. How do you feel about that?
To me, this is something that is fully acceptable. It is my role, what some would call a shadow, as it were. The truth of the matter is that Benji is just a long line of individuals. His blood will make it difficult. as I have no doubt Benji is a difficult individual required to work with, and
Not so
in
calm as Wolf or M, huh?
but look at what happened to Wolf. At the very least, you needed to respect distance. Wolf took one point and leveraged it to its extreme. Meanwhile, when we take a look at, well, what was it? La Medianoche. We end up seeing Isabella Castile, a individual who is very much what's required to keep someone like Benji in line. In order to be comfortable, you need to be ready to take the hits. She is definitely among them. As for my wants this night, there is a part of me that I'm wrestling with. I'm wrestling with it because it is almost like you're forgetting where you come from. You start to get comfortable in a new city. Sometimes that city gets in under your skin, becomes a part of you. The question is does it oust what was there before? And I worry. I am alone in this city, surrounded by strangers, and keeping myself cold and locked away. This is perhaps its age. You wouldn't think it would take this all of a time to start losing yourself. And yet, for such a short period of time, compared to my own elders, I wonder if I'm losing it. That edge that I had when I was young.
Age does have a way of changing people, for the better or worse. So, as we begin our vampire story in the Alamo City, I would like for both of you to make rouse checks. Urien, that ever present partner, is silent this evening as you wake. Maybe a slight gnawing in the bottom of your gut, but nothing too feisty tonight. It's patient. Benji, not quite so lucky. You awake to that little voice in the back of your head crying out for food, for blood. It's kind of noisy,
Getting a little hungry.
getting a little hungry. So, Benji, you are first to wake. As far as you know, you've been set up in your own room. You have a fairly neat looking room, actually. It might actually be a little bit against your aesthetic because it seems a little too neat. Kind of stagnant, unoccupied, decorationless, clutterless.
Not all about these white walls, man.
Not about them white walls. So what do you do first thing when you awake?
Benji stretches a bit. He has sort of this morning routine where he makes sure that all of his muscles are stretched out. He does a couple push-ups, some crunches, sit-ups. There's no pull-up bar. Can't do that. Bummer.
Bummer. Strange thing about waking up as a corpse is there is a little bit of stiffness as you awake. But as you go through your morning exercise routine, you loosen yourself up, you get rid of all of that stiffness, but that hunger pain is kind of gnawing at you
It's kind of like an empty feeling. Not necessarily in his stomach, but more hollow in his chest.
with a gaping maw and a void.
He's a little irritable. Just a bit. But that's nothing new for him.
So, about how long do you spend doing your exercise routine? How long does this usually take you?
Only about, say, 20 minutes before he finally comes out. And he's all dressed, prepared for the evening. And first thing he decides to do is hone in on Urien.
Urien, it's about now that you'd be waking up. You find yourself in your usual spot. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that exactly?
Well, the bed is nothing to be desired. I believe the mattress was initially a thrown out piece of evidence from a case long ago. The frame itself is something that was bought secondhand. The room itself, however, is clear. There is a very small dresser that holds rudimentary clothes. The only thing of interest that one would find in this room is upon the door and the windows what appears to be outlines in chalk. Several signs to Beelzebub. Several signs of a cult. These are not true magic, but simply perhaps practice or studies, maybe just simple practice trying to perfect his circles. But
Perhaps
the
that,
most notable one.
perhaps
Go
that,
ahead.
perhaps that little bit of superstition that lingers on from life.
Perhaps. At this point, it is more habit than any. Something I must have picked up. As far as the rest of the room, it is lit only by a single 60-watt bulb that, for the most part, just hangs there loose from the wire. There's no fancy chandelier or anything. And the only comfort that he has is that the wall further along on the other side of the door is a false wall that was quickly erected to make sure no light would come in through the window on its other side. Outside, it looks like the window is fine, but inside there is no window to this room.
And when you leave your room, you do see that Benji is there in the kitchen, kind of idly walking around. Seems to be looking for something. Someone.
His eyes turn and pin on Urien as soon as he comes up.
Early to rise, early to bed. Makes for long existence for the undead.
That's a new one.
I attempt to be witty from time to time. I'd offer you a coffee, but I think you're past that state.
Nah. Don't need a coffee when everything is. I mean, whatever. You get it.
Well, nevertheless, he starts walking up the stairs briefly, and then comes downstairs and places a bunch of books down, cracks them open. He has a satchel at his side, pulls out this older book, historic locations of San Antonio, and opens it up and just takes a moment as he starts reading. You have to forgive me, Benji, at this point. I have a particular routine I don't like to break when I first wake. There's only so many hours in the evening to take advantage of.
I hear you. I get it. Benji just sort of peers over Urien's shoulder a bit, looks at the book, sees it's about San An locations. So, you gonna take me to some of these places? You know, show me around the parts.
Well, I will in time. For now, it is me, well, private studies. But tonight I don't see any reason to end up leaving my domain. I will go about it soon. Talk to the locals in my particular network and see who tonight was, well, inserting themselves without so much as a hello. And if I find out that they've been feeding, well, I will simply have to punish accordingly.
That sounds interesting.
How so?
Well, I mean, I've been skipping around these parts a bit, back and forth.
Hmm.
Can't necessarily say this is punishment, unless you consider it house arrest.
Have you fed in this domain without request?
Mm,
He looks at you like, be very careful on how you answer this.
to be honest, don't know. That's why I'm asking for a tour.
Well, he closes the books. I suppose I can break from routine. He starts to make sure that his satchel is loaded with whatever he seems to need. To Benji, this would appear a little odd. You know, here's a book here, here's this. But then he'll pluck a feather out of one of these weird ornamental hats that are lining off the side. He'll take a little bit of cobwebbing from another location. He just, like, all these really weird things that he's pulling out and placing into the bag. Eventually, he heads towards the door. And when you end up getting here, when he gets to the van, you'll notice that he doesn't get into it or start it up right away. Instead, he is literally feeling under the rims of the wheels, checking various bits around it, and he's doing a fairly thorough job. It probably takes him like half an hour before he's even comfortable putting the keys in. Once he's done, he unlocks the whole van and opens up the passenger's seat for Benji.
Benji comes out following Urien and just like eyeing him closely. When he sees the van, he just starts laughing like, oh, you're like a soccer mom. Taking your kids to school? Is that what this is? Is that what Urien does?
Something like that. He gestures for Benny to come on in.
Benji skips into the vehicle excitedly.
And as soon as you take a look around, it seems fairly nondescript. Until you look in the inside, and at the bottom, you can see this scrolling of this large pentagram in the hip, right into the upholstery of the back cargo area.
He just looks at it like, what the fuck? Alright, man. You know what? Your car.
It's usually when you have to stay in the back, most would consider it their last ride.
Oh, does that tie into the whole punishment thing?
Depending on the severity.
Alright, okay. Yo, do
If
you have
I'm
an aux cord?
an
An aux?
aux cord.
Yeah.
Aux cord.
Yeah, so I can plug in my music, and Benji just flashes his phone.
He looks at you very confused.
Okay. No? Okay. Alright.
No.
Quiet ride. Cool.
Well, you're the one with all the questions and you haven't taken your eyes off me. Perhaps you like your men small and petite. He starts the car.
Yo. What? Yo. Bro, no. I'm not gay. Like, I'm not the
This-
one running around looking like some faggot, okay? Alright. Okay, let's go.
He starts driving, just kind of smiles. I was under the impression that it was how it is going to be for the next couple of decades. No shame in it. After all, if it helps, understand you're just a corpse to me. But, that being said, he starts driving, and it takes a few minutes, and he starts doing his rounds. The obvious places and a few inobvious places or places that Urien knows, like, if somebody's gonna feed, they're probably gonna show up here, 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 and here. You probably see him, like, he stops, tells you to stay in the car, goes to phone in one location, just a payphone here, payphone there, maybe uses the phone in this shop or whatever, but he just keeps popping from one location to the other. And each time he stops, he sometimes takes a very odd turn where he'll say, and here's where the dividing line ends. He's trying to keep it fairly clear, but while he's doing this is effectively him hunting. And he's looking for anybody who might be perpetrating upon his domain.
Can I insight check on that?
What are you specifically trying to figure out?
Benji's trying to see what you're trying to see. He's like,
If you're both kind
Fine.
of looking for kindred, really. If Urien's kind of letting Benji in on it.
okay, alright.
Is Urien openly looking for kindred who are perpetrating?
He said this is what he does.
Alright.
Not trying to hide it.
Then, what I would like from Urien is I'm gonna say a wits plus awareness +1 for Benji's assistance.
Do I also get 2 dots or +2 for Lane as well?
Yeah, because you're kind of dipping around your neighborhood to see if there's any kind of like sketchy stuff going on. Yeah, go ahead and add Lane.
Oh. Well, if I caught somebody, actually, God, do I want to give it up? Yeah, I got to. I'm going to re-roll the 10 on my natural to keep it from being to
Bestial
try and
crit.
keep it from being a bestial.
All right.
And if I can get at least 1, it still keeps it to 5. So that's still a very high
Mm-hmm.
bet. So I'm going to re-roll 2 dice, 1 fail, and the crit.
All right.
Yes.
So that
Dice.
changes your crit to 1 success, and then your failure to 1 success. So that's a total of 5, I believe.
It's 1 fewer success, but it doesn't turn into
It doesn't
somebody's feeding. I run over him and his
end his vessel.
and his
Yeah.
vessel in one go, and then deal with it.
Exactly. So, and it takes the better part of an hour driving around the border of the domain. Urian's pointing out where exactly his sections end and Baron Delgado's broader domain starts. And Benji, you might be getting a little impatient because this is kind of a long drive. You're not. You're kind of surprised that this guy has as much, quote, territory as someone might have. You don't even have like much to go on yourself as far as feeding rights because Isabella's the one who controls the bar. Really. So it's her property you've been feeding on for the last little while. But even hers isn't this big.
Wondering what he does to get this much. Kind of bankroll this guy got.
Urien, you do see quite a few people kind of like skirting the border, not really uh not really stepping in, and not anyone who looks obviously kindred. You don't necessarily have a huge sense for that supernaturally, but
No, I do not. But I have experience on my side.
this is true. You do have experience on your side, and so looking looking up and down through the streets, it does take a while, but you spot somebody that you think might be kindred. You suspect, anyway. They're kind of not really not really doing much though. They seem to be kind of just hanging out on their own for the time being. Out in the broad street, but on their own.
Well, I stopped the van, probably not more than maybe like 10 feet away from from where they're standing. As close on the curve as can be for legal parking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Benji, I hope that you're very good at playing along with Isabella. Because now it's time to work.
Work is all I do, man. Let's go.
He steps out of the van and starts to walk past the individual. Now he looks this person up and down. Like, he makes it very clear he's looking at him. Urien at this point is in his regular street clothes, not in his priest's outfit. Though he allows the pentagram to hang openly on his chest. He also ends up keeping what seems to be a very large felt marker that he pulls out of the glove compartment.
Benji just gets out of the vehicle with his phone. He just kind of pretends to look at social media while sitting behind it, beside the vehicle for a bit, waiting on Urien.
And I approach this individual.
This individual kind of does see you start to approach, and with the next cross street that you come across being a kind of border marker, you start to see that this person starts to walk towards the crosswalk.
Benji just kind of laughs at himself. He's like, this feels like a drug bust. God.
What do you do, Urien?
Benji calls out, "Hey! Oi! Hey, you! Let's talk for a sec."
The person doesn't like looks back, sees the both of you, and just continues walking. Derek, if you're saying anything, you're muted.
I just want to be clear. He turned around and
Started to walk towards the cross street. Yep.
But he looked at me.
He did see you, yes.
About how much distance between us?
Roughly 40 feet.
Is it particularly loud, or is it particularly a dead street?
Now this seems to be the empty part of the neighborhood.
Okay.
And you did hear Benji try and call out to this guy.
Yeah. I speak in a very stern voice. I have more of a command. You will stop.
Roll me a charisma plus intimidation.
Intimidation? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for leadership, but we'll go with the head intimidation. And 2 for Lane?
No,
This
Lane.
is my domain?
Well,
Or...
this isn't information gathering. This is trying to stop someone.
Okay. Not the worst roll I could have had.
You see that they look behind them to look at you, but are not listening to your command.
No, I'm not using, trying not to use disciplines right now, but,
They've made it almost to the crosswalk. And it's a stop sign street, it's not a light.
Benji catches up with Urien for a sec, and he's like, "Hey, man, I don't think they're really gonna stop for us."
yes, but they... You said you wanted to put in work. Show me what I'm working with.
All right.
All right, so Benji, what do you do?
Benji decides to try and catch up with this guy across the crosswalk, but he's trying to be
Are you
sort
running?
of.
Are you sprinting? Or are you speed
It's
walking?
it's more like a casual jog, and he's like, "Hold up, man, hold up. You forgot something really quick. Come on, let's talk."
I want you to roll me a stamina plus persuasion.
Ooh, different.
Makes
Difficulty
sense. Makes
difficulty's
sense.
3.
Hmm.
Difficulty's 3. Do you want to re-roll, or do you want to succeed at a cost?
I have an idea. Hold on. Let me look at my superpowers really quick.
Might be busting out some of those, huh?
um, Benji now kind of like realizing, oh, this guy isn't really stopping. All right, let's try another method. He busts that presence, and
Okay.
now he commands, like tries to like impose himself.
Okay. So you're how do you go about calling out to this person then? Is this more of an intimidation?
Yeah, yeah. Stop right now, man. You don't want to go that way.
That sounds like a persuasion to me.
Let me try.
Because if you're trying to scare the fuck out of this guy,
Yeah, I don't know what to do. So we'll just let the fail go.
Not willing to listen to the cost.
Yeah, Benji has another idea.
All right.
all right. Then this person begins to walk across the crosswalk at the four-way stop.
Okay, Benji returns to Urien. What if we just follow this guy? Just to see. I mean, he hasn't really done anything.
Then we would be on another individual's territory, Delgado's. And it's at this point I know their face. I'll. A face wouldn't be enough for me to end up going off of. I'm primarily going off of names, correct?
With you having high politics, it's usually based off of names. If you had something like a specialty in recognizing faces, that would apply, but the difficulty would be pretty high just on a face.
Fair. I know the face. More specifically, they know mine.
All right. All right.
The advantage of standing out just a little bit. But next time I catch him, I'm just going to run him down.
With the van?
Yes. I'm going to run him over with the van. I'm going to toss him in the back, put the stake in his chest, and take his face off with a carrot peeler. And then we'll begin talking.
Benji's got this smile, like this childish smirk on his face. He's like, that's some, like, serial killer shit, man.
It's almost disconcerting, Urien.
It's something he can heal from.
Yeah, but wow, like, damn. All right.
Looks to
Cool.
Benji. How long have you been embraced? You said, what, couple of years?
More or less, yeah. I mean, I seen some shit, but nothing
Seen
too
some
wild.
shit. Seen some shit.
Yeah.
And he just keeps repeating that as he, like almost like a mantra as he starts walking back to his van. Like he's fixated on that now. And he's got kind of this like million-yard stare as he's just kind of walking back to the van.
Benji is just watching him for a sec walk back while talking to himself. He just nods like, what the fuck? What did I get into? Man, this guy's crazy. All right. It's okay. Okay.
You're
Um,
kind of crazy, though, right?
I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's fine. Isabella. And as Benji's walking back to the van after Urien, he starts
He
texting
stops.
Isabella.
Did he actually say that?
No.
Like Isabella out loud? Okay.
Well,
All right.
yeah.
Go on then.
He was kind of whispering it to himself from a distance. But he starts texting Isabella and messages her, asking her pretty simply like if he's going to be searching for his fight this next week or if she plans on setting him up and when that date is.
You don't get a response right away. You get the feeling that maybe she's busy. So you usually respond the same night, but she's always kind of long to respond.
That's fair. Benji's used to it. He understands. Um, Meeting Urien back up at the van. He gets in on the passenger side.
Urien takes a quick look around. Tries to figure out where this person might have walked from or what they might have been doing here. He's using all of the tricks, including sense the unseen, just before he leaves.
Okay. Um, give me a quick wits insight. Hmm. Sometimes it's kind of hard to read people, especially if they've been standing there. They seem to be standing there for a minute, at least, as you were driving up. There's no real way to tell where it is that he was coming from, but you definitely know which direction he's going.
Yes.
And he seemed pretty intent on not answering you.
He gets in the van and he's not really hiding the fact that he is like visibly frustrated. He's kind of white knuckling the steering wheel as he starts up the van. He keeps thinking over and over again, like, trying to play nice, trying to play nice. He mumbles to himself something about don't don't use their tactics. Don't use their tactics. Don't use their tactics.
Oh, but I don't want to play nice anymore. Come on. Can we just sink our teeth into just somebody? Maybe Doc. Maybe Doc's available.
You shut up.
I really like her.
You like her taste.
Yeah, I do.
You know nothing about her.
I'm you. I know everything that you know.
If you knew that, you'd keep in the cage.
I'm not afraid of you. You're more afraid of me. Am I right?
It's a nice suit you used to wear.
It's really nice on me.
Benji pipes up, "Hey man, you okay? Hello?" And he just like snaps his finger in front of you.
Yes. I am trying to keep to better natures at this point.
Good luck with that. Hey, so, good news. I don't think I've ever actually been around in your domain aside from past few weeks trying to find fights. So, there's that.
Fights.
Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for?
I mean, for the club, yeah.
Dangerous. I'm curious. How good are you in a fight when you haven't eaten in a little while? When you crunch somebody's nose and the blood starts pouring out of it. How good are you at holding it together without jumping in front of an entire stadium of people like some kind of Roman gladiator and ripping them to shreds right there with your teeth?
I guess that's a trick. Just stay fed.
Yes, it's one that I'm sure that you have great benefit in. Still, Urien thinks about this for a minute. Starts up the car and just continues the rounds before starting to head back to his domicile. Before he does, though, he takes a moment to speak with Benji. So these fights, you say that you go in and you become a pugilist. So what benefit is this to you?
Go in, fight, get paid.
And yet there is no sport in it.
Not anymore, no, but it's what I was doing before. Frankly, it's all I know how to do.
I doubt that.
I mean, I guess.
I remember the first time I ended up watching Jack Dempsey. I wasn't particularly paying attention, but I knew a particular Rose who was very much about these things. And they would say this here, this will change the game completely. Honestly, outside of watching everybody trying to end up keeping it together as he bobbed and weaved, I saw little interest in it. But for you, I suppose it's the challenge. And now, against the kind, there is none. With the gift of the blood, you take a moment, and there you are, able to beat a man to death within a moment.
Yeah. It does take the fun away on that front, but the alternative, since I started these fights, had a few folk come back. That's nice. So I guess if they're having fun.
see. For me, he stops. Well, never mind that. So, is there anything else that you need to know? Or something we need to go over? Benji, was it? Or
Mm.
do you prefer Mr. Cortez?
Ooh, Mr. Cortez. Benji's fine.
We'll never get used to that.
I don't think I could. Mr. Cortez is my dad.
Perhaps then he should have been the one embraced.
He's dead. Been dead.
So are you.
Ain't been dead for a lot longer than me, though.
And I've been dead a lot longer than the both of you. What does that change?
You know what? Never mind. Alright. So what, you want to get back to your books, or?
I find myself frustrated. But I think that is mostly well, perhaps the night was a blessing nevertheless. He starts to rev up the engine and starts to continue on his way home. I am well, how are you adjusting, Benji?
I got the club.
And are you fed now before you're ready to fight?
I mean, I could go for a snack. That's the thing.
You strike me as the type who prefers physical confrontation when feeding. Perhaps a bite of an adrenaline.
This is true.
I'm going to assist in a hunting role for Benji and try to get him to a location where it's likely he's going to get in a fight if he presses, but not so over the top that the cops will show up in 2 minutes if things go wrong.
You make your way to a portion of the neighborhood, kind of, up one of the side streets, in a slightly sketchier section of the domain. Not that your domain's huge by any means, but it is large enough that you have some places that are a little bit more business oriented, such as the mall and the bus station, and then further in there's the slightly sketchy neighborhoods. And so you make your way down the streets of a particular neighborhood, and since it is still fairly early in the night, there are still some people, especially in the summer nights, have who are maybe walking home from a bus stop or from a corner store down the street from their home, that sort of a thing. Might even see some random kid in black, maybe tagging something down an alleyway. You're not entirely sure as you drive past.
That kid is something that caught my eye immediately. And I am going to gesture. So this is my assist to help narrow down the search, so it should help Spectre or help Benji get a +1. But when that happens, Urien is going to quickly kind of just gesture that he's going to be going down this alleyway for a moment, handle business. And with that, he then points to the other location. There you should be able to satiate yourself if you keep it clean. And by that I simply mean no breaches. Outside of that, feel free to cripple him to his heart's content.
All right. So you're assisting Benji with a feeding
Yep.
roll. Okay.
Yep.
Benji, I would like you for your feeding roll to how are you approaching down this alleyway, I should say.
He's not approaching.
Not approaching.
He looks over at Urien, at first confused, and puts out his arms like, what the fuck?
You said you can go for a drink. I'm gesturing you to a place that might accommodate your particular tastes. While you do that, he kind of pulls out the large felt marker that he has. I have to deal with the hoodlums who want to end up decorating my walls.
I mean, I never said I wanted to necessarily feed right now.
Yes, but I'd rather you be at your best. And mostly, I am acknowledging you as having permission to feed in this domain, to your heart's content. And that privilege will remain so long as you aid in its cultivation. Consider that you paying the rent.
Alright, I'll take that when I'm ready. Right now, I want to know what the fuck you're doing.
Very well. He starts heading down the alley.
Are you being stealthy about it, or are you being like super nonchalant, just walking in?
Nonchalant, like we're just gonna pass and we do not give a shit.
But are you truly giving a shit?
Oh, I do. This is a case of I am trying to see, is this just some random tagger, or is this someone who is actually tagging on another kindred's behalf? Is the tag specific to making a proclamation on my territory? You know, since tags are a big thing in this anarch domain, Urien wants to make sure.
Alright. Then I would like a composure plus subterfuge from you.
Nice call. Only
Ooh.
one success.
The tagger, as you're walking up, does look at you, and maybe you're looking a little more threatening than you had intended initially, because this kid starts to look a little bit scared and starts to walk off.
That's fine. He looks at the tag that's half finished. Does this have any kindred significance?
Roll me intelligence plus streetwise.
If I spend the willpower, is it going to affect the roll?
Uh,
Even if I get a success?
mm, the the tag really only had a couple of strokes in. There's not any discerning anarch qualities to it. It's not like a stencil or anything. It kind of looks like this kid was just tracing some gang symbology, maybe.
Hmm. Well, he takes off the lid of on the broad brush side of this felt marker and takes a quick look around. If it's just him and Benji at this point, the kid walking around, he just places his mark.
All right.
You know, Benji, I am getting really good at this.
But what? Tagging?
Back in my day, this kind of thing was not required.
Huh.
Slides the vid in. Take care, kid.
Fuck you. And then,
Benji snorts.
by this time, this kid's sprinting off.
Question.
Mm.
Benji wants to analyze the tag as well.
Okay. Roll me and well, with Urien having kind of traced a little bit more into it, you can roll me an intelligence streetwise.
Hmm.
It might be a little muddled.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, it seems like it was the first strokes of maybe gang symbology.
But does he know like what kind of gang or anything like that?
Local, not anything, not anything super like nationally known. You get the suspicion that this is maybe a local neighborhood thing.
Hmm. Now it's covered in pentagrams.
Now it's covered in a
Cute.
pentagram.
Cute. Okay.
And it's at that point he starts walking back. Now, you said that you would hold off on feeding. I have not met too many fledglings that would, well, turn down such an offer. Is there a reason for that?
I just don't feel particularly inclined right now.
Was it something I said?
No.
When you say that, Benji, your stomach kind of grumbles. Not audibly, but in your mind, kind of grumbles at you.
He's trying to hide the fact he's acting like a brat.
I'm gonna call for a roll on that then. Manipulation plus subterfuge, my dude. If you're trying
I'm
to
assuming.
keep, if you're trying
Go
to
ahead.
keep your cool.
I'm assuming this is an opposed roll.
You can insight check him if you want.
Alright.
I was doing it more to judge whether or not he. Urien, it's pretty clear that he's being slightly bratty. You're not entirely sure why.
Well, I am not here to babysit. If you won't eat your vegetables, let's simply leave it at that.
Glad we're in agreement. Now, how about you?
Tell me, would you prefer to be digging up a hole and dumping bodies into it?
mean, that's not my preference.
There's your answer.
All right.
When you asked what I do, that should give you an indication. But that being said, perhaps a small demonstration is, in fact, in order.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he goes toward, or he looks around.
You're still in the alley.
Yeah. He. Hmm. He takes a quick moment, starts walking back to the van. I need to make a phone call.
Okay.
And sure enough, he drives. And once he gets to one of, what if payphones he can keep, he needs to get more influence on this neighborhood to keep these in order.
They're certainly sparse, but they're there.
Yeah. He makes a quick call to Doc.
All right, to Doc. And so you find that she picks up fairly quickly, actually. There's not this long wait. And she answers the phone with a hello.
Good evening, Doc.
Ah, Mr. Doyle.
I hope that the night isn't too stressful. I'm assuming it must be quite relaxed if the phone was right beside you.
Quite, actually. Not very busy tonight at all.
Fantastic. Well, outside of the pleasantries of hearing your voice once again, which does soothe the heart,
You flatter me.
I always, and without hesitation.
Oh my.
But I noticed that there's. I'm hearing some things, and I wanted to get this cleared up.
Hmm.
There is some issues, and he kind of describes where he just ended up finding this tag.
Hmm.
Now, do I need to worry about gang violence arising with these smaller children trying to play real homies, as it were? Real homies. That's the expression.
I think you're catching on, yeah. The as far as local to your area, there's nothing huge in that direction. I would still be careful though. They tend to be a little feisty sometimes.
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh,
It's just if it happens to run. I said I would look out, and I did want to end up contributing to the cause, as it were. And smaller operations like this tend to rustle your boss's jimmies, as it were. I thought a bit of kindness would be appreciated.
if you're causing a couple of incidents in which my boss's rough feathers will get ruffled,
Oh, I'm not causing, I'm trying to avoid that.
ah,
If these children are causing a little bit of a problem, I thought I'd put the fear of God in them.
Fear of Satan, you mean?
Oh, no, 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 no. Satan is a quite a different story. But that's an intricacy I would love to have over tea with you.
Hmm.
But I have a. If this is not an operation involving your boss and is a bunch of upstarts trying to muscle in on a little bit of territory, I thought you'd like that handled ahead of time.
Certainly, if you see problems that might rustle the jimmies, as you said, it would be appreciated.
Well, he kind of loosely describes one of the tags that he's seen.
Hmm. Local, nothing huge. Maybe isolated to your little neck of the woods.
And I'd like to keep it small, as
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure the boss wouldn't care for, well, small locals trying to muscle in on turf just because you don't keep a huge presence.
That's true. Try to keep under the radar, as with all things.
So, I just wanted to be clear if I was in the clear to handle it.
Try not to hospitalize anyone. I'd hate to be called
Eh,
in.
If anything happened, I can assure you no one would be found.
I will leave you to that business then.
Ours is a gruesome one, Doc. Still,
Sometimes.
you wouldn't happen to know where they might be located. Clubhouse kind of thing.
Mm, they're. When it comes to local like that, they tend to operate out of maybe little apartments or something. Forgive me if I'm not super up to date on the local politics of the small timers.
No, it's quite alright. All I need is a lead, and I will find the rest. I just want to see if I can handle it first before things escalate.
Fair enough. And she gives you a couple of names of some local groups that they might go by, and you get the sense that they're small time enough to have maybe less than 10 members for each group. Mostly meth dealers. Predominantly weed dealers, even.
Don't care. The fact is that they're bringing in from product elsewhere, and they're wanting to build up in my neighborhood,
Mm.
and I'm not receiving anything from it. So, time to make a stand, as it were.
Feel free to do so. No one on this end's gonna stop you. You handle your own business, after all.
I make it a point to. Thank you very much, Doc, and have a lovely evening.
And you as well. Do call for tea.
Of course. He hangs up the phone, starts to walk to Benji. Benji, are you particularly well versed in the streets, particularly amongst gang members?
I know a bit about the underground, but not as much as Isabel.
Fantastic. The he starts to give names, hoping that Benji might know one that matches with what we just seen.
Benji, roll me in intelligence plus streetwise. A particular name does strike you as interesting. One of the possibly older members of one of these groups is pretty regular at La Medianoche.
Is it a guy he fights?
It's a guy who drinks there.
It's gonna be a guy he fights. Alright, Benji mentions it to Urien. Yeah, that's regular that goes by the bar.
His name is simply known as Matt at the bar.
So he is a breather.
Yeah. Just some regular guy. Do I know what he looks like?
If he's been at the bar.
Yeah, you know what he looks like. He's mid-30s. Kind of a little unkempt, but that's to be expected at a dive bar like yours.
Alright. Kind of more of a grizzly guy.
But he has a face that looks so punchable.
Well, if that is the case, allow me to lay this idea on you, Benji. I am thinking of doing some house cleaning. Some of the actual mob would not like to end up seeing small timers dirty the reputation. I can go for a drink. I think handling two things at once could do well. If you're willing to feed. But if not, well, then I will make the most of it.
Hey man, told me it's about paying rent.
Well, right now it's just making sure I know what's happening. So, with that being said, he kind of ends up starting to drive. Where do you think I would find this individual? As I'm told that they have kind of a gathering around here. Apartment building, perhaps, was mentioned.
Maybe. If we're talking about Matt, I know he stops by the bar. That's about the gist of that.
You
Alright, let's go and find out. He starts driving. Time to go to the bar and see Matt.
And that is where we are going to take a quick break.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for watching so far. We will be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to San Antonio by Night. We return with Urien and Benji, having taken a moment and decided to go to Benji's little hideout with his good friend Isabella at La Medianoche. So, the 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 van driven by Urien is it's a fairly short ride. You've been there to that location once before. And so you arrive at the bar. Dave is at his usual spot, sitting at the entryway, ready to card and allow people past. Quick question: are either of you using Blush of Life?
Only when it's required. If I'm understanding the lighting, there's a lot of fair amounts of red. Like if it's anything like the background, there's plenty of things to offset skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Lots of neons.
Lots of
yeah,
neons.
It's part of the
so
reason
it
Benji got by.
shouldn't be needed until somebody's actually looking to make physical contact.
Mm.
Is it fairly busy here?
You see several people actually. There's a number of people at the bar, and one of which is Isabella, and she is looking stunning tonight, as always. But she's also joined by another individual whom I don't think you've met, but you're aware of. They seem to be conversing kind of in hushed tones, not really making any eye contact with anyone, but they're certainly speaking.
Okay. If that is the case, then for propriety, I'm going to risk it and rouse the blood to make sure that I'm at least socially acceptable. Yes! Oh god, that was so risky.
Thankfully, your beast is at your command tonight for the moment and is willing to wait this out with Isabella and Castile both being in the vicinity. There might be an opportunity here. It's waiting patiently, waiting for you.
Benji just puts his hood up. He doesn't rouse the blood or anything.
Dave just kind of looks at Urien, noting that you are quite a very short man. Again, doesn't really do much else. He is aware that you are a friend of Benji's, and so he doesn't even attempt to card you. He simply
It's just Josh. It's just Josh walking in.
just Josh. But he turns to Benji and says, "How's it going?"
Benji stops. He smiles at Dave. It's going good, man. Just hitting up the bar tonight, trying to see if we got anything rolling.
Well, I don't know that there's gonna be a whole lot of rolling tonight. Isabella
So pent up.
is in a foul mood, and I think we got a cop.
Really?
I don't know, plain clothes. I got that suspicion, though. They carry themselves differently than all the other patrons, you know? You know how to spot them, right?
Yeah. Is it? Benji just kind of like points out towards the guy sitting next to Isabella. Is it that gringo? Is that who we're dealing with?
Nah, that's her fucking ex. Don't you know that?
Oh, no, man. I don't talk about her guys or anything like that. Damn. No, like a cop?
Yeah, he's poking his nose around. I think he's sniffing out something. That's
Has he
why.
come in? Has he come inside the bar yet?
I don't. Maybe. I think so. I don't think so. I would have spotted him. I'd card anybody who isn't you. But, yeah. I don't know that that's going down tonight. Because, you know how this is all under wraps.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'll keep an eye out. Maybe we can. I'll just keep an eye out.
Alright, well, Theo's at the bar. He's, helping out Isabella as much as he can. But, keep your eyes peeled.
All right.
Looking out for your kid.
Thanks, Dave. Counting on ya. And he pats Dave's shoulder, grips it, but gently in a sort of affirming way.
Alright, get in there. And...
Benji hops into the bar.
Alright. You enter the bar, and the first people that you do notice is that Isabella and a man you have not met are talking at the bar. Urien, you might be aware, you'd be aware of this person. You would know that this is Dr. Castile. But there is also one other person at the bar. Real punchable looking dude. This, you would assume, is Matt. Benji, you know who this is. This is definitely Matthias. This is Matt, the punchable face that wants to take you down.
Ah, God. This motherfucker is back again. Alright. Act cool, act cool. Hey, Urien. Act cool.
Of course. I can be cool. He starts. He just kind of not so much mingles, but just keeps himself aware of the other patrons and what have you. But every so often he kind of glances to take a look at this Matt and Benji. I'm gonna take a look. Benji seems to like be cool, be cool. You know, it's why is he so worried about that now?
Urien, you notice beyond anything else, Benji is trying to avoid eye contact with Matthew, but almost specifically like peering back and forth between Matt and Isabella. Almost like, ah, shit, not here, kind of a thing.
Does he perturb you for some reason?
He just gets under my skin, man.
Any particular reason?
Just talk to him. You'll find out what I mean.
Benji, you know that he's particularly, I wouldn't say well known, but of particular note when people want to score something a little spicy.
Well, is there anything about him I should know? Such, for instance, that if he suddenly lashes out, that Isabella is just going to let it happen, or if he... Does this man look like a fighter to me? At least the same way Benji looks like a fighter, I imagine.
He is of a very similar build to Benji, yes. He is quite. He looks like he's pretty well toned. Uh, he's not shirtless in the establishment. He's actually wearing a tank top and a and a jacket on top. Um, but he looks fairly strong. Like he could throw a mean punch if he landed one right.
Man, if you're not in a good mood, just like stay clear of him. He's really good at like antagonizing. Just fucking pisses me off all the time.
I think that would be amusing. But
Well, not right now. If we start throwing fists right here and now, there's a fucking cop in the hood. I don't want to do that. Be bad on Isabella.
you said right now, implying you're waiting your time.
Well, he's here again. I don't know. I think he's been wanting to get in a fight with me. So, if he's here, he's probably getting ready to set up with me.
Well, he starts looking this individual up and down. Well, if that's the case, I'll have to remind myself. Well, nevertheless, I started walking around the bar. I keep him in eye shot every so often, looking, checking in on him, see if there's anybody else who is within his antagonistic range. But I make sure I'm heading towards Isabella. I stay out of their conversation until I'm acknowledged to come forward. And I also keep an eye on Benji because it looks like Benji is raring to go and doesn't want to be in that state right now.
As you walk towards Isabella and politely stay out of conversation range for the moment, and she does, after a few seconds, does see that you have approached and smiles and turns to Dr. Castile and looks and beckons you over and says to you, Mr. Urien Doyle, this is Dr. Antonio Castile.
Still, yes, that your reputation precedes you, good doctor. And Isabella, if I might say, you're positively radiant. I'm sure you would not be out of place in a bouquet of roses at this point. You make it look that well.
You flatter me.
I simply state fact.
You notice that Dr. Castile does get a little bit, like, antsy in his chair. Mr. Doyle, it is a pleasure to meet you, he says to you. And he reaches out a hand.
He clasps the hand and shakes it.
It's a pleasure.
And to you, Dr. Castillo.
I've heard a lot of things about you.
Oh, do tell. I've always appreciated someone from your distinguished family sharing anecdotes. And I'm always curious on what the rumors are.
Well, I heard that you have met my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
Carlotta.
Oh, yes. It's such a horrible misunderstanding. But
Quite.
all the checks have been balanced, and so long as nothing escalates, I see no reason to escalate it further. But you understand my position, yes?
I do now.
Now,
And he just kind of eyes Isabella a little bit, but then turns his attention back to you. Do forgive him, Urien. He can be a little bit crass.
I appreciate it. It is a talent that should be cultivated for appropriate time.
Yes, well, the doctor says, I feel as if I need to take a walk. I shall be
I...
leaving you all for tonight.
Oh, is my presence perturbing you, dear doctor?
Not at all, Mr. Doyle. I simply have things I must attend to.
Yes, we do have to keep busy these nights. He kind of leans in a little closer to make sure it doesn't carry through the room. Though I would be careful, as I am under the understanding that there is a policeman not too far away, scoping out the joint, as it were. And
That is the phrase.
I would hate to end up having you mixed up in further complications.
Certainly not.
Fantastic. But, Doctor, it has been a pleasure to end up making your acquaintance. And I will admit, I might have underestimated you. I would have suspected that you would have stopped by my office earlier. But instead I run into you with the beauty, the belle of the brawl, shall we say.
Hmm. You notice that Isabella cracks a smile a bit, and Castile just gets a little unnerved. Well,
Hold on. Why is he unnerved when I say that? Wondering what's going on in that head of his.
roll me an insight check with wits. Oh, where did his character sheet go? There it is. Just kind of being here, you know for a fact that he's Toreador by nature, so being here doesn't necessarily appeal to his tastes, maybe, but you get the sense there might be a little something more. That the conversation he may have been having with Isabella was not exactly the greatest.
Well, I hope that the night brings you good fortune, Dr. Castile. And I hope to see you by my office sometime in the near future.
Where was it again?
Oh, he makes mention of the general area. It's clear in his domain. If you look around, I'm sure you'll see the signs.
If I have time, I will drop by at some point. But I am very busy.
I'm researching at the hospital new vaccines and such, I'm sure.
A doctor's job is never done.
No, nor is a teacher's. He kind of looks to Isabella for a brief moment when he says that.
She's very stoic. As you would assume many Ventru at this point, given your lifespan, typically are.
Be well. dear doctor. He steps out of his way.
And the doctor reaches out a hand to shake yours, and
He does so.
after you do, he starts to walk toward the entrance of the bar. But it is also at that moment that you see a man that you are familiar with walk past him. A familiar police officer.
Well, he kind of leans in, letting Isabella hear his thoughts. Now that is interesting.
Oh,
That is very interesting. I can confirm to you that that is indeed a policeman. If I recall, a detective. He goes by the name Deacon.
fantastic. Just what I need.
You'd rather know it with accurate information, yes?
Of course.
I look after my friends. You will have to pardon as I may have to don a mask soon, but he continues.
Is he familiar with you?
He's familiar with a facet, a masquerade,
Haha.
much as you're familiar with your patrons in that same line. And it's very difficult to not eventually run into police, especially when you remain active. I don't worry too much about it.
Thank you for this information, Mr. Doyle.
It is simply to keep our obfuscation. Still, that is not what brought me here tonight, and I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, it looked like the doctor did not do well this night. In conversation, seemed a little perturbed, more so than I would expect the court to do.
Yes, he doesn't exactly like the kind of establishments that I tend to find myself in these days.
Even though he is in the sights of one of the most beautiful women in all of San Antonio.
Seems I get under
Something.
his skin a little bit more these days.
I hope you take great pleasure in doing so.
Oh, I do. I love to watch him squirm.
Yes. And you were talking about me, if I understand his wording earlier. You had to straighten him out on who I am.
Simple introductions. I wouldn't read too much into it.
He kind of looks to Isabella like, that's what I do. You've already had that demonstrated. No, what brought me here was the fact that dear Matthew over there kind of just gestures with a single finger. He's not pointing directly at him like, Ace Attorney style. Just his fingers are interlocked and he just happens to pull a finger up to gesture in his direction.
And when you look over in his direction, you notice that his eyes have not. His eyes occasionally dart to Benji. Like, his brows are starting to furrow. He's starting to dip into his drink a little harder. He... Something about this guy.
I am led to believe that this individual is ready for a fight with Benji.
Sadly, with police presence, I cannot indulge either of them.
We could take the fight elsewhere.
Would you be able to hand me a drink real quick?
And Are you speaking to Isabella or Benji? Has Benji walked up at this point?
No, he's talking to Isabella. She's the patron. He's like, "Can you just get me a drink real quick, preferably one that's half done."
She kind of looks over down the bar, and Benji, you see that she kind of just snaps her fingers a little bit, and Theo is immediately getting her uh, something a little classy, and brings over a what looks like kind of an ordinary glass of whiskey on ice, but you get the suspicion it might be a little pricier than that.
Urien takes a little bit, shoots it back. He doesn't drink it. He just kind of uses it like mouthwash.
Mm.
Spits it back in. Pours a little bit into his hand. Rubs it in, making sure his back is to Deacon right now, so he doesn't see this. But just so he smells of alcohol.
Mm. Smart tactic. Blend in.
Well, it's one of those things that kind of makes you wonder. He's obviously I'm terrible at the accent, but Urien, it's second hand. It's helps when you're trying not to get too much attention, or in this case, get the right attention.
Fair
Since I can't get information out of dear Matty boy without it going down, and you need Matty here and Benji here and Mr. Popo not here, I'm gonna go and see what I can do.
All right. Well, Benji, what are you doing at this moment?
Over the course of their conversation, Benji has been noticing Matt's glances and has also been getting increasingly agitated, which is why he suggested they just take the fight elsewhere. But thoughts aside, Benji's kind of like catching on to Urien's cue. And he sighs because he realizes this is the Matt that Urien was talking about. And Benji can't be having him dealing in his hood. So he's gonna go up to him.
All right. So you walk up towards the man you know as Matthias Walker, Matt, as he's maybe better known. And when you do start to walk towards him, he immediately spins in his stool to face you. He's got his drink in his hand. He's kind of leaning on the bar, and you lock eyes with Theo for a moment, and Theo looks like he's not amused. He is kind of keeping his eyes around the room, and you notice that he does lock eyes with many of the individuals in the bar. But Matt's eyes are on you.
Hey man, what's good?
Nothing? What's good?
Oh, just going around, making friends and shit. Hey,
Making friends and shit. Alright.
what's the deal, huh?
What do you mean, what's my deal?
Coming around and shit?
Man, I go where the fuck I want.
Alright. Real talk, real talk.
Real talk. Like you're not real talk.
Benji sits down next to Matt, and he starts describing the what he believes was the imagery of the local gang symbol. He's like, you know anything about that?
Man, that's not my hood.
No.
Nah. What I got any business down there for? That's all fucking jackball.
Then why are you here?
Cause I'm fucking here. I mean,
Or,
like, I don't know. Word on the street is you get some good action around here, but you know, I decided I wanted to come by. Cause heard got good drinks. I got some good drinks here. Not gonna lie. Better than your punk ass bitch can take.
Benji is. He noticeably winces at that. Look, man. I know you're not here for the drinks.
Nah.
But here's the deal.
Here's the deal. Alright, alright. Come on, spit it out, kid.
There ain't gonna be any roughhousing tonight. Benji leans in close, still sitting next to Matthias. There's no roughhousing here.
That ain't
If
the
you
word
wanna-
I heard.
Not today. But if you want to take this elsewhere, you know. You know I'm down.
Why? So you can pop me in the face? Nobody's looking? Nah, I want the spectacle.
I do too, man. But I also don't want you spectacling on me when I'm just trying to have a good night.
I ain't doing shit. You're the one who's fronting on me, bruh.
Keep not doing shit then.
I ain't doing shit. I'm just having a drink.
You keep at it.
Why don't you go have yourself some, like, prissy frou-frou drink, like a fucking Shirley Temple or some shit.
Man, you don't even know hard. And he just slaps the table down. Slaps the bar a couple times and gets up and leaves.
It's a punk-ass bitch, that's what you are.
And as Benji's walking away, he just flips the bird.
Urien, you notice that when things start to get a little bit loud, Isabella's eyes immediately go to Benji.
Isabella, I will see what I can do. I will make a tiny scene just to keep attention away from the two thugs, at least for now. But, that particular individual looks like he is, or pardon, that particular individual look like he's going undercover. Kind of sucks when an acquaintance cover is blown by a drunk patron, don't you think?
It seems like they're cooling off a little bit, though. Maybe a slight scene.
I'll see what I can do.
Roger.
He takes his drink. It's been a pleasure, ma'am. And he kind of steps out. He's not stumbling or anything like that. He's just kind of sloshing his drink a bit. And maybe fake takes a sip as he stumbles. And he's walking, like, in Deacon's direction.
And you're trying to look a little drunk?
No, just, like, I'm definitely not intoxicated, or I don't look to be intoxicated. Maybe I'm trying to hide it really well. But the smell of booze would say otherwise.
I would say that I need a manipulation plus performance.
This is going to be tricky. Manipulation plus performance.
And Deacon's gonna roll wits versus wits and insight versus you.
Any bonuses for the prep?
I'll give you a +1.
Okay. Not my greatest stat. Yeah.
This man knows
Yeah.
drunk.
Yeah. Urien's not sloshed. He's been drinking. But when he looks at him, it's like, oh.
Wait, I know you, he says to you.
Oh. Oh my god. It's been. Trying to find the voice. Oh my god. Deacon? Deacon? Oh my god, how you been? He kind of immediately reaches and like grabs his hand and making sure that he's got a good grip on it. Oh my god.
I've been all right, man. Been all
Oh
right.
god. Have you heard anything about? Have you heard anything about Dan?
Nah, man. It's funny running into you. I wasn't expecting this actually. I just ran into an old colleague of Dan's.
Oh, who'd you run into?
Some doctor, Castile, I think.
Cus Dr. Castle. Okay.
Yeah. Man. You all right? You
Honestly,
smell of booze. You smell it?
yeah, it ain't doing much for me right now.
Do you want me to call you a cab? I can call you a cab.
No, I was just gonna drive. But
Not.
if you're here, hey, let's get a drink. Let's get a drink. He just puts his hand on Deacon's shoulder, starts walking to the bar, specifically trying to go around the crowd in a way that keeps him away from Benji and Matt.
All right. You seem to feel pretty confident uh, in your ability to direct him away. He's giving you a look almost like he's not sure what to think of what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Because you're not
Yeah.
exactly friends, you're acquaintances.
Yeah. Yep. Urien knows this. But he ends up grabbing a drink or ordering a second drink. What, Deacon? What are you ordering?
I'm
Get
just a beer.
okay, fantastic. He ends up ordering for him. And he kind of sits down, or he sits at the bar, looking at him. Now, if I didn't know any better, this didn't seem like your scene. And not mine either, though. I can still tell you that much.
Two fish out of water, right? But you notice his eyes are still glancing around the room.
Dude, are you working?
He just kind of looks over to you. Nah, I'm off the clock.
He kind of looks around. And I'm going to insight check that. Is he actually off the clock, or is this stakeout that is evolving into something? Is he actually here on a professional level?
Wits insight.
Yeah.
Oh, nope, I was supposed to roll more than that. Give me a second. He's a little see-through. He's not really taking a sip of his drink yet.
You are. You are on the clock. He kind of whispers like, well, I had to be grateful that you ended up at least helping me out when I was looking for Dan.
He still ain't turned up.
So is there anything I could particularly do for you here? I think I owe you that much.
Just following leads.
What kind of lean? This Dr. Castle?
Well, he kind of leans in and whispers to you, this is a little something else. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're related.
Like what? Am I in trouble? Like, do I need to get the hell out of here?
Nah, man. Nah.
I'm not gonna lie, this is making me really nervous.
Man, you're pretty much off the grid, man. There's no way that Dan could even call you.
Bookmarking that for later. Yeah, well, lost the job and everything else.
I never said he lost his job.
No, I said I lost my job.
Oh.
Like, I've lost my job, lost my position. Can't keep a phone with no job.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Not your fault. It isn't your fault at all. It's... I don't know. I guess I'm more, at this point, just sympathy drinks. And he takes a small sip. He's regretting the fact that he's going to do this, but he's got an hour.
Benji, at this moment, you see that Urien and this gentleman, you're not sure who he is, you've never seen him before, are speaking in whispers at this point. What's your reaction? What are you doing?
Benji's just gonna find like a seat somewhere and just kind of observe. Does he notice Urien take the drink? Can I see that?
Urien's not hiding the fact that he's actually openly drinking.
Yeah, you can see that, and Matthias just seems to eye Deacon a little bit, or this gentleman. You both don't really know who he is, but Matt's eyes just kind of dart between the both of you, and then he does kind of nonchalantly circle the room.
Benji's just thinking to himself, like, what the fuck is this
Alright.
doing? What the fuck is Urien doing?
Yeah. And it's at... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Nah, I'm done.
Okay. It's at this point, Urien orders 3 shots. Says, well, I'm getting nervous enough that I'm going to get out of here. He orders 3 shots, slides 1 to Deacon. Shoots down his drink as a chaser after he downs all 3. That taste of ash is something that's hard to gulp down. Thankfully, hard alcohol, it's about the same reaction. He doesn't need to fake that taste.
Nope, that's true. And Deacon just kind of looks you over. It's like, man, look, I can call you a cab.
No, I'm gonna get driving. You take care.
No.
He starts walking and he just starts going out the door.
And Deacon kind of starts to chase after you. Look, I am not about to let you drive out of here.
It's okay. It's okay. I
No,
know
it's
you're
not.
off the clock. You're off the clock, and you just he's given the drunk excuses, right? Like it's gonna take a while for it to kick in. I'll be home and in bed by the time I'm warm.
I'm.
And
I'm not allowed. I'm not letting you do that. And
and
you're kind of walking down the hall towards the entrance where Dave is.
yeah, and so Deacon's behind me, trying to catch up, trying to convince me not to drive, right?
Right, right.
And I give him a wink as I end up going by. I think Dave's smart enough to realize what's happening here.
Mm. He kind of just lets you both go past, and Deacon follows you out.
Yeah, look, I'm not leaving my van in this neighborhood. This is not.
Look, man, I'll make
If
sure that it
you're,
gets to your house.
what, you gonna drive me home? He throws the keys at Deacon like,
I'll get a tow.
no, 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 no. I'm not. No, no, I can't afford that. That's not coming out. And I sure as shit, I know that is not coming out of a cop's salary.
Sure as shit not letting you drive. Do not make me call squad.
If you're gonna you just call squad here, right? If what's going on is what I think's going on. You call squad here, then the whole reason you coming out is bust. So, rock in a hard place, Deacon. I gotta drive. If you're actually on a case, you can go ahead, or you're trying to be a friend to a buddy, and you kind of let everybody know that you didn't want me to drive out. So,
I'm
your
not letting you
choice.
drive. And he gets in front of the driver's seat of the in front of the driver door of the van. You can either call the cab your goddamn self, or I'm calling something.
And it's at this point, Urien's willing to drag this on until he's got to go to sunset. So I'm gonna let that jump into the interior. Because I think you and me know how this is going to go. This is going to be a purposefully long back and forth.
Their Deacon uh is going to continue this back and forth with you, and is getting a little bit more heated at this point. And if you're kind of are you kind of circling the van to try and get a vantage point where you can get in, kind of thing? Like, what are you doing? To Are you just trying to talk him down? I'm not hearing you if you're muted.
No, I am going to convince him to drive me home. Is he knows the longer this waits, the more likely something bad's going to happen. And he doesn't want to call in dispatch, because that means he's bringing a squad car out here, which circumvents the whole situation. So he's got two choices. He can either let me drive, or he can end up driving me home. Those are his two choices.
All right. Eventually, it gets to a point where he's got the keys in his hand, and you're kind of making a fuss, and uh, eventually he just kind of unlocks the driver door and sits in it.
And he opens up the passenger side, closes in. You know, this is really weird. Being on this side of the van.
Yeah,
Kind
imagine.
of rests its head.
Drinking your problems away ain't gonna fix what happened to Dan.
I don't even know what happened to Dan.
Well, he's missing. I'm trying to find him. That's what's going on.
I just,
Look, if you know anything, man, you just tell me.
you know what I know?
What?
Seems like every time I get close to anybody, they're gone. I mean, back out. Well, the reason I came to San Antonio was because I lost pretty much everybody. Since he kind of clams up, like a dramatic pause. I had to put too many friends in the ground. And Dan was one of the first people in San Antonio. You know, I started to get to know. You know,
Trying to turn your life
made,
around?
fuck that up, didn't I? Fuck that up, and now every single minute I end up doing this, I just
Doing what? What are you doing? What are you doing with your life right now, man?
nothing.
Gotta pick
Sit
yourself
most
up by your fucking bootstraps and get back to it. Look,
you're about
Dan
to
was
end up.
Dan's a good friend of mine too, and I'm doing everything I can to make sure that I find him. You know, you got my word on that. Motherfucker said he's going on vacation. Now he's missing. I don't know what's going on. You said something about putting people in the ground. What you coming from, man?
A couple years back, I was in Jackson. Remember the riots?
Yeah, I heard about that shit.
I survived that shit.
Fuck.
I couldn't. I got to watch people I cared about. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but you know, I used to be a part of a bigger thing. Call it a company, I guess. It's about people. You don't want to hear the details. It's boring as shit. Day in, day out, hearing reports. What you're trying to do is keep the ship sailing. That shit happened. I had to watch best friend get blown up in a fucking goddamn. And then there was getting to watch a bunch of people I used to think were friends turn into goddamn animals. And
Shit, man.
they killed my girl, man.
Fuck.
They killed my fucking girl. We had to cremate the goddamn body, you know that? There wasn't enough left to have a fucking open casket. I, that's... And then the first thing I run into was Dan. Yeah, just the moment I thought I could trust something again, just the moment I thought I could trust and again, all of a sudden, gone. Shows that I'm a shit judge of character.
That doesn't show that you're a shit judge of character, man. It just means that something happened and we gotta find out what.
I ain't no fucking detective. I'm just...
Like I said, trust me with that one, alright? But we're gonna get you home, and I think I might know somebody. Somebody who might be able to help you through this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because you're going down a bad path, man. I hate to see it. Alright?
make no fucking promises right now. I don't know if the drink's hitting me right now or not, or if I'm just a combination of perpetually pissed off or just... I don't know where I am. Hell, half the time I wake up and I don't know who the fuck I am.
You're you. I don't know you quite well enough to really tell what that is, but
Funny thing is I could say the same damn thing about me. You know how messed up that shit is?
let's get you home at least.
That should buy him about 3 hours.
Benji,
Hmm.
what have you been doing? You watched as Urien was about to make his way out towards the van, having had a couple of drinks, and this this uh this man that you don't know followed him out. Seemed pretty insistent.
Well, Benji's honestly not sure what entirely Urian's plan is, but he does know what needs to get done. So, with that being said, God, he really doesn't like actually picking fights outside of the ring. He really doesn't.
And the time
But,
that you've spent with Isabella, she doesn't like when you do that either.
no,
To be fair, the ring's just downstairs.
it's true. This Matt guy, though, he's... Matthias is actually bringing drugs into the hood. Benji can't have that. That shit fucked up Bobby. He remembers that really well. He remembers what it did to him. So,
You see Dave kind of come down the hallway and kind of look at look at Isabella and Theo and kind of give them a thumbs up and then go back to his post.
Benji sighs. He stands up. Yeah, he heads over to Isabella.
Well, interesting evening.
Incredibly. Isabella, I need your permission.
For what exactly?
Matthias, this mad guy that's been coming by the bar lately. You know how antagonistic he is. You know he's always out here trying to cause trouble. I have reason to suspect he's been out here dealing drugs and shit. I
That's
don't know your
nothing
stand.
new.
Yeah. It's new to me.
That happens. That's not something that you grew up with.
No. That's my friend Bobby. He's old friend. That fucked him up real bad. So, pretty peeved.
And so you want to...
With your permission, I go get in a fight.
You know, it's not that easy with the way that things are run here. I know that you used to be a top grade fighter way back in Amarillo. And I'm glad that you've taken my advice and kind of taken a sideline role at this point. You do realize that you can punch through brick walls if you so choose.
But I can also pull punches.
I know your tendencies, Benji. I know that you don't have much of a pulled punch.
It's fair.
You didn't used to pull punches back in Amarillo.
That's right. How about I put it in this context? In exchange for tutorage, this is Urien's request from me.
Urien's your request for you. How do you mean?
That I clean up shop in his domain.
Do you have proof that Matthias is prowling around Mr. Doyle's domain?
Only word. More so suggestions.
That's not enough to put a man's face into the concrete.
Specifically, it was indication. Local gang running around, doing work. And I guess Urien made a call, got the name Matt. Brought it up with me. There's only one Matt that comes by here.
So this causes a little issue with the masquerade. What if Matthias is hospitalized? What if he doesn't make it? What if he disappears? What then?
Let's see.
That mortal gang decides to declare war on some what they would observe as maybe some short stack and his bodyguard, and decide that they want to do something about Urien. Or if they find out, or if they're guided to something else, you could always guide them to another gang, but at the same time, that'd be starting a gang war over a single man.
Yeah, he's rearing to fight anyways. I know he's prowling for the game.
But it's not an even match. You know this.
None of the other fights he set me up with have been either. We're out here doing that anyways.
Occasionally I let you get your fist bloody. But it's when I say so. And unless you have proof I will not okay it. Do you understand me?
Benji's visibly agitated. He just nods. Yes, ma'am.
Eventually, Benji, you will have whatever it is that you think you need to get out on this man. For all intents and purposes, you have all of eternity to exact revenge on anyone that you see fit. Pick your battles. If you think this is worth it, then bring me proof. He's a regular here. He doesn't go anywhere.
Right. Benji just turns around and more or less storms out.
Benji.
Hmm?
I'm doing this for your well-being. You know that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. 'Cause I do care about you. More than your sire ever did.
Yes, ma'am. And as he walks out of the bar, he shoots just the nastiest glare over at Matthias.
And you notice that he's probably one of the only patrons left in the bar right now. But she didn't. She never rose her voice to go above a whisper.
Okay.
He just watches you as you leave.
All right. That's it.
So how do you get back to where you need to go? Because when you walk outside, the van is gone.
It's
Oh,
been a little bit. Would I have gotten back home and have had a cell phone or the ability to get after throwing up what I just had? Is that's god awful. Um, would I've had enough time to be able to end up giving Benji a call right about now?
Yeah, I think so. Has Benji given you his number?
Requested when he was agreeing to stay in.
Perfect. Then you have the ability to give him a call. It's been about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So afterwards, I end up giving Benji a call.
Benji sees it's Urien's number. He picks up.
It'd be
You
a
don't know
payphone.
Urien's number.
No?
Urien has no number.
Oh yeah, payphone.
It's a
Okay.
payphone.
Well, bummer. He just sees a random number and he's
Nobody calls you this late, except Isabella.
he clicks it on. Hello?
Good evening, Benji. I thought you might want to know that, and let Isabella know that the policeman in question is looking for Dr. Castile. Apparently, he has. I can give some details if they interest Isabella. But suffice it to say that the the good doctor might be bringing a bit of heat on Isabella's operation.
Hmm.
I could offer details if it's worth the while.
But you want to talk to her directly.
I leave the offer on the table.
That's
Sin.
fine, bro.
Well,
mean, I'm sure she'll want to hear. Fuck it.
Fantastic.
Benji just puts Urien on hold and goes back into the bar. Beelines to Isabella and
She is talking to Theo for a moment, but they see you walk up.
he just kind of slides the phone onto the bar next to her. He decides to whip around and go downstairs.
And Isabella picks up the phone.
Good evening, Isabella. I trust you are well.
I am, thank you.
So, about the policeman that was there. And she can hear this napkin wiping against something. The officer in question is not interested, as far as I can tell, in your, well, according to him, the happenings in your establishment, so much as who was in the establishment tonight.
Oh?
He was interested in Dr. Castile.
Interesting.
I might even have an idea as to why, if it's of interest to you.
Perhaps we should talk about this tomorrow night. Would you care to join me?
I would, if we could arrange a separate venue, one that is not attached and could lead to further complications on your part.
If you know of something someplace a little neutral.
I wouldn't. It's not a matter of neutral, just, well.
I mean,
you
away
could
from
always
your
be-
interests, away from my interests.
I have no problem putting my interests at risk for one who is so involved in the raising of the young. So, I will say this. What he is investigating has something to do with Nosferatu.
Oh.
Pardon, he doesn't use the word Nosferatu, he uses the term for the haunts.
The haunts.
Yes. And if that is of interest, I thought you would like to know. I will suspect that if the doctor stops coming around, that the policeman will have a reason to leave.
Very interesting.
Do expect him to return later on tonight, though. He has just caught a cab.
I will keep my eyes peeled.
Fantastic.
I appreciate that, Mr. Doyle.
Remember, I look out for those who are of great benefit to our own club.
And if there's any way that I could bestow upon you some hospitality, please do let me know.
The hospitality of one's blood who resembles the ocean. How could I say no? Well, there is one thing. A bit of information. I ran into someone earlier tonight, and he gives a description. This individual was spotted in my area. Now, when I told them to stop, they continued walking off. Does this person sound familiar to you at all?
High or low?
Let's go high.
Doesn't ring any
Shame.
bells.
More's the pity. If I do run into them again, I'm unfortunately going to have to make an example case. And one for the lack of an introduction, and the second more for the insult. I guess some just don't understand how I play.
Some don't. But can you really blame anyone who doesn't necessarily like rules?
Oh, it is no consequence whether they like it or not. Still, I may have to organize a play date with this individual in the carrot peeler in the near future.
Ooh, that sounds mighty macabre.
That is within my discretion.
Of course.
And don't worry, I'm sure Benji will be there so he can relay all the wonderful details.
Certainly.
Until then, have a fantastic evening and do keep a lookout. I have no doubt he'll be returning to your bar soon enough, but I hope I've given you enough time to be able to organize and finish up what needs to be done.
Thank you very much, Mr. Doyle. You're always welcome here.
I am ever a servant to the whole of San Antonio.
Good evening.
And at that point, he hangs up.
And she hangs up the phone as well. And I think that is where we are going to call tonight's game. Thank you to my players for playing. Always a pleasure, always a joy.
Thank you for ST.
Yeah.
Hope you have enjoyed San Antonio by Night so far, everyone.
Always.
It was so nice to throw in some things. Just to tie some things together.
This episode was hard. I felt like I kept budging for things and things weren't happening, and I was like, ah, shit, I don't know how to do this without directly conflicting with my own conviction.
It's hard, isn't it?
It is.
But yeah, thank you for players. Both of you get an XP for having played today.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is the extra XP. So, who pushed the plot the furthest?
I feel like, regardless of what Benji initiated, Urien was able to further and fulfill, ultimately.
I'm sorry.
That was kind of my intention. Like, I was like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing right now. I feel like I'm just setting things up.
Well, I hope I'm following through on them. Alright. So I'll take that one.
Alright. Now, who had the best scene?
I love Benji pleading for a fight. I want to fight him. let me at him. Let me at him.
And Mom telling you no.
No, you finish your vegetables first, then you can have dessert.
I felt like a brat.
You were playing like a brat.
I mean, he basically is one, though. He's trying to be so composed, but he's such a brat. I love him. I love him so much. I love his and Isabella's dynamic so far. I love her. She's just golden NPC. I love her.
Like, Benji wanted to be mad, but then she's like, you know I care about you, right? And he's like, oh, god damn it, don't say that. Now I can't be mad.
She knows how to pull on your leash.
And
Why do you
vice
think she's
versa.
been? Why do you think she's been with you this far?
It's true. The vice versa of this is Urien having his little... his... his little show.
Oh, his little show with Deacon.
Mm-hmm.
Both were very good scenes.
I fucking... no offense, but I seriously... I'm glad I was on mute because I absolutely lost it when he's like, every time I get close to someone, I lose them.
I was gonna cry. Deacon's actual reactions were not my own. I was like, "Oh, you poor babe, I love you so much, Urien." My own reactions and Deacon's reactions are very different because Deacon hardly knows Urien.
Oh yeah, I know.
But it seems like you both have.
But it backs up everything that it makes sense now for everything that Urien has done as far as what he knows. It explains every single puzzle piece he didn't understand.
Mm, and
And the best part about all that, not one fucking lie.
not a one. Not a one. I couldn't clock him for it. Oh well. But you both have put up decent scenes for the candidate for best scene as far as today. Do you want to have a tie roll off, or are we going to pick one?
I'm gonna hand it over to Spectre. That guy, give it to Benji.
Aw. Thanks.
All right. Memorable line or funny quip for a one-liner.
I'm gonna go drive home now. had a had a drink and 2 shots back to back, and knowing full well he's a cop, I'm gonna go drive home now. Are you sure you don't want to call a squad car? That's just gonna be against your better judgment.
He was about ready to clock you though.
I would have laughed if he did.
He was about ready to clock you.
Yep.
Fucking pin you to the fucking van and handcuff you or some shit.
Yeah.
Oh.
I would have laughed on that one too, because then it would have got ugly.
Yeah, it would have.
He handcuffs me. Okay, look at him. Dominate. Undo the handcuffs. Okay, get in the van. Stay still. Drive him out, and well, that's the last time a cop has been seen.
Oof. Oof.
I was looking for a candidate. Just didn't expect it to be Deacon.
I was a fairly big fan of Benji pretending he's not gay. He's not gay for Urien. Come on now.
I'm not gay. Faggot. God. Fun fact, that's actually Tyler the Creator quote.
Delightful. Delightful.
Tyler the Creator is a musician who was known for really obscene, like, hip-hop music some odd years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's very, very, very outwardly and expressive.
Maddie throws in a hey gal face in the chat.
No, my personal favorite on that whole bit is like, "Are you in love with me?" or something. Do you find me cute? Is it small men that you're into? It's no judgment. That's
You're
that
just
is
a
an
corpse to
acceptable
me.
thing in this. Yeah, that's an acceptable thing in this century. But you're just a corpse to me.
When he punches you and doesn't kill you, you can consider it romance.
The worst part is I'm still not 100%. I'm pretty sure Benji would take him with no issues. But then there's that other part of my brain that reminds myself it's also Urien.
It's also Urien. He's kind of a squish.
If there's a will,
He gets
there's a Urian.
punched once in the face. He's kind of impaired.
Yeah,
He's kind of a
true.
squish. We
But
really
the
love the
flip
squishy
side on
boy.
that is with a single command, he might be able to impair him. He might also be able to impair Benji.
That's
And if
entirely
Benji does
possible.
not keep himself topped off, it is highly likely that Urien snaps his fingers once and torpors the kid. Right? So, like, this could go either way.
I say that they are
But
great foils for each other at this point.
all right. But
The decision, though,
yep.
on the one-liner,
Give it to Urian.
For the I'm gonna go drive, or for the you're just a corpse to me, or the are you into smaller men? Is that it?
God.
yeah.
We're gonna go with drive.
I fucking giggled.
Oh, I heard Spectre. Spectre, I think, muted themselves as soon as I said that. Like,
I did. I
Uh,
had to.
you're the perfect foils for each other. I love it. I love this dynamic already between the two of them. I'm about it. I dig it. But yeah, that does it for the experience.
sweet. I got 8
Granting.
experience.
Is there any expenditures that either of you want to make tonight?
Any that I'm trying to think if there's one that I can justify. Um.
I got none that I've made thus far, so
You don't have any that you can justify, or you don't have any that you want to take just yet?
I don't have any I can justify.
Throw it out there. What are you thinking that you want to spend it on, or at least working towards?
I mean, I want Benji to start working on his desire.
Well, yeah.
So I think if I can start working some angles here. Well, not his desire, his ambition. If I can just work some angles here, then maybe, but that's in the future.
But that's to recover willpower for the most part. Do you have anything that you feel that you would want to spend experience on, like backgrounds or skills or anything like that?
That's what I'm saying. I don't have anything backgrounds wise I think I could say.
Or skills or specialties.
No. He's just angry.
It's so angry.
At this
Don't
point,
talk
we've
shit.
only just met Benji, so I would say there are some things that I would say that would be acceptable for specialties if you wanted to take any. But we could always talk about that in the off week.
I'll probably think about that.
Okay. What about you, Derek? You got any expenditures you want to do?
I am arguing with taking a skill up or save till next week, because if I can just get 2 experience, I have enough for either getting a second dot in any one of my clan disciplines, or because I haven't done anything that furthers my contacts just yet, or I could save them for the number that Deacon gave me, if that's actually an NPC that's worth, okay, we're gonna make some stuff out of this. Yeah.
Ooh. I might be able to tie some more things.
Well, go ahead.
Depending on some things, I might be able to tie that in with some stuff.
Yeah, it was either that or I was If that went south, I was just going to make Deacon eat his whole family.
That would be a big oof.
Yeah, well, these things happen.
Mm-hmm. These things happen.
But that being said,
Nothing is really off the table at this point.
um, I am. At this point, I'm just looking for worthy candidates. And
Ooh. I have a way. Okay, I know what I'm doing next.
yep.
I know what number Deacon gave you.
Okay.
I need to
Make a
create.
note of that one since I don't know. But
I'm gonna have to make a token for this character because I don't have one yet.
all right. That being said, I think I am going to. Oh no, there's a few things I think I can actually do.
Okay.
Um, hmm. I am wanting to take one dot in Streetwise.
Okay. Given how much time that you've spent on the streets of your own domain, I'd allow that.
Yeah. The other one is I want to take. I want to see if I can take a specialty in insight.
Okay. Versus a specific kind of people.
I'm double checking other specialties that could apply, but fact of the matter is I've been rolling a lot of awareness and insight lately. So at the very least, I feel like I should have a specialty that is applicable.
For sure. I can see a
And
specialty.
especially. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I can see a specialty in either one since you've been traveling your domain and keeping your eyes out for awareness, and the fact that you interact with a lot of people.
Yeah. I have my
Insight.
ear to the street.
Both of those are completely justified.
Yeah.
As far as specialties, now what you decide to word it as is going to be something we can discuss. But
Well, I was just gonna double check what was in default in the book, so it's like, here we go.
what are examples?
Yeah, because they're just useful. Period.
Sure.
A lot of people don't realize just how useful those are.
Oh, I look at them all the time when I'm trying to think of specialties.
But let's see here.
They are very good examples.
Or insight. Ambitions, desires, detect mind. Um. I'm gonna take a specialty. God, one's theme appropriate, but one's more appropriate to what I'm constantly doing. Um, I am thinking.
Is it a toss-up?
Yeah, between motives and vices. Motives would be like how Urien stays one step ahead, but vices work so much better with the what Urien represents.
I also see detect lies also being very appropriate for Urien too.
Do not try to lie to me. I worship the Prince of Lies.
I can see it being very appropriate.
Okay, yeah, we'll take that.
And that would work effectively versus most subterfuge rolls.
Okay, so I'm going to do that, and streetwise, that's going to bring me down up to. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to take both.
Okay. That cost you
All right.
6 XP, and you got 2 left, right? Because you started with 8.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm just updating my character sheet right now.
Cool beans. Well,
To...
I want to thank everybody who is in the chat who has been watching this episode 14 of San Antonio by Nights. Again, welcome back, Spectre Deflector, for joining the cast. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Derek, and I love the dynamic that's going on between Benji and Urien. It's to live for. So, anyway, tomorrow night, depending on how tired I am, because I have been running on very little sleep, I will be doing a caffeine fix. If I may have a short stream tomorrow, I don't know if I run one at all. But we're going to be continuing to work on the party drawing that I'm doing for my Saturday D&D game, and that will be. I've got 2 characters left in that to line in flat color, and then we are moving on to shading for that. So, thank you all so much for watching. We will see you tomorrow for drawing stream, and next week Wednesday for more San Antonio by Night. Say goodnight, everybody.
Bye bye.
Good night.